And ladies and gentlemen, respected faculty members and valued students, a warm welcome to another enlightening episode of GIBS IRE Talks series. I'm Professor Sandeep Ansali, and it is my pleasure to host today's IRE Talk on a topic that everybody is quite interested, and industry has become a great help to almost everyone today, especially for those who travel a lot. So today's topic is journey of a lifestyle entrepreneur. As you know, today most of the students stay away from their homes. People travel quite often, and in such situations, we find it to find a right place or a reliable stay. And some entrepreneurs, like our guest today, has made it a lot easier for all of us, but by providing the safety and comfort. So what? So it is the growth factor which builds the business in the lifestyle industry, and how our guests have come to this position, we will learn about it today. So I would love, before we get into the topic, let me give you a brief just about GIBS. So GIBS Business School is based in Bangalore. We are an exclusive business school promoted and driven by the IIM alumni, offering top-tier business education. Currently, we provide two flagship programs, the BBA from Bangalore University and AICTE-approved PGDM program. These courses meticulously designed to equip the students with the necessary skills and knowledge to thrive in the business world. And our curriculum blends the theoretical learning with a practical application and guided by the experienced faculty and the industry experts. With the state-of-art facility, corporate partnership, and a strong placement cell, GIBS ensures students are well prepared for their professional journeys. And to give you a brief about what is GIBS IRE Talks all about, this is an initiative of GIBS Business School dedicated to enhance student skills in specific to innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. These talks provide a platform for the students to interact with the industry leaders and successful entrepreneurs and the academic experts. The IRE framework encourages the students to develop the innovative ideas, conduct a significant research, and embark on entrepreneurial ventures. Through these engagements, our students gain valuable insights, build professional networks, and boost their confidence by preparing them to excel in their career and make an impactful contribution to the business world. So before I hand over to the speakers, today's keynote speaker, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all to today's keynote speaker, Mr. Kahraman Yigit, the co-founder and CEO of Olive Living by Embassy. Hailing from Turkey, Sir has established a successful business globally. Starting from a family real estate business, Sir has traveled across the globe and now is in the real estate as well as hospitality industry, focused entrepreneur with 20 plus years of hands-on experience in all critical phases of development process, right from the inception to the concept and to the realizations. Sir, we are really honored to have you.
With today, and my sincere apologies last time when I had on, and it gives you basically a baseline foundational logic on how to approach problems, how to approach ideas, and I found that really useful. But what you study doesn't really dictate what you're going to become. A couple of things that I weathered in my 2 decades of my business life, and I think those are some important pivot points where I had to make some major decisions where you find yourself at crossroads, and most of the time these are sometimes circumstances that are out of your control. So I think it was 2007-8 when US financial system went into a major crisis, which we know as the global financial crisis in 2008 and 9. And at that time, a lot of investment banks had to close shop, and it was basically mortgage-backed securities, which were subprime mortgage-backed securities, which got all the banks into trouble. And it had global repercussions. Turkey was quite isolated from it. But looking, and this was directly related with real estate. And at that time, I was looking to do something on my own. And again, having a foundational knowledge of business and a good understanding of the real estate sector, especially in Turkey at that time, I wanted if you have a project, you're in business. If you don't have a project, you're not in business. It's not like industrial. It's where you have a factory. That factory runs 24/7, and manufactures things. It's not like an ongoing business. And I was quite interested in operational real estate, which was more bit like a factory, actually, if you think about it, rather than just having specific projects. Because in residential, what we do is our life ends once we build the structure and hand over the keys. But in operational real estate, your life only starts when you take over the keys. And that's what's good about it. And there were two asset classes which I actually looked into. And one was senior housing, and the other one was student housing. And both of them were not really being developed or operated by the private sector. It was mostly government who was doing this. And I think, India has a lot of similarities in that sense. What we were seeing was, it was mostly handled by the government, substandard facilities, and, no real service at all. And this meant for both student housing and senior housing. But at that time, when I looked at both sectors, student housing, the need was much, much higher. And from a cultural perspective, actually, Turkish family values and Indian family values are very similar. And, we don't, if we put our parents up at a nursing home, you're kind of back in Turkey, you're kind of regarded as like not a good child. If you do that, they expect you to take care of them. So, at that point, your customer comes to you by getting sick and they leave by dying. So it really doesn't have a happy ending. And whereas in student housing, the need was much bigger, and also students come to by, winning a university, and they leave by graduating, and you're dealing with, young minds. So we thought that I'll focus on that. So I started in 2009, 10, and I think by end of 7, 8 years, I had about 65% of the universities in Istanbul as my clients. And I built about 20,000 beds across 5 cities under 3 brands. In central Turkey, we had an economy brand, and then I had a mid-segment brand, then I had a luxury brand in Istanbul, just like how in Olive now we have, which I'll get into, Olive Life, Olive Zip, Olive Hotel, and the other sub-segments. So, but the first major disruption, I would say, was the global financial crisis, which kind of pushed me in ways where I had to think outside of the box and see what I could do. And the main thesis over there was, even though student housing is a real estate business, it doesn't behave in line with the real estate sector. Even though you put up a building, you operate it, you charge rent, but it obviously behaves in line with the educational sector. And at that time, the thesis that we put in front of the universities was, look, this is a real estate business. It's a investment-heavy business. Yet, as an institution, you have to have a good quality student housing to attract and retain students. But the core business of any educational institution is obviously education. Yet they have to do this. So it did make sense for us to propose to them, you can outsource this to private sector. And that's what we did. And that went quite successful. But again, another disruption that started happening was, geopolitically, where Turkey sits is not an easy position. Pretty much all of our neighbors in the past 2 decades have been at war. And with that said, a lot of geopolitical tensions, terrorism events, these are global things that can happen. And, at that point, I saw tourism sector getting really disrupted by the terrorism events that were happening. And a lot of hotels at that point actually did shut down. And I saw that as an opportunity to take over underperforming hotels. And we did position hotels as student housing. And what happened is, because it doesn't behave in line with hospitality or real estate, We did have students, regardless of what the environment was like. People did go to school. So we were able to fill up these buildings, deliver humble returns. But over time, again, from 2016, 17 onwards, the Turkish currency was depreciating drastically, about 30% year on year. And actually, it kind of became really impossible to do profitable business. And again, at that point, I had to take a step back and I looked at, okay, what I know my business, I know what I'm doing. In Turkish lira sense, my business is doing really well. But when we measured against hard currency, basically our assets were depreciating, losing its value overnight. So, and again, another lesson over there for me was, geography is not your destiny. You need to go where you find your value. And sometimes the tools that you need might not be aligned in that geography. And, I see India is a very mobile country. A lot of people migrate for education and work, and they I opened up the world map. We started ranking countries by population, financial stability, pretty much many metrics that you can think of. And obviously, when we marketed over there, we said, the West is hard to penetrate. These are mature markets. But we said, we can take our know-how, we can take our concepts over there, and, we can get a foothold. So I started doing some projects in UK and US after I exited Turkey in 2017, 18. And at that time, one of our business partners in a project outside of London said, we have an investor from India we'd like to introduce you to. And up until then, I had Goa in my mind, the beach, that one picture. It was on my bucket list, but never thought of coming and doing business in India. So we started talking. At that point, my partner today, Embassy Group, had already partnered up with WeWork. Again, it's a managed office space. It's the first company who introduced co-working. It's a pioneer in their own space. And they're looking to do something on the accommodation side of the business, where they could basically cater to young professionals and students alike who are either studying or who are, in these large multinational corporations. So a conversation started, and then they came, they saw what I was doing. I saw the potential in India. I went to some business parks, I went to some educational institutions, universities, and I saw the potential, and I said, this is India's decade. And, I have to seize this opportunity. So at age 38, I decided to pack everything. I'm not married, I don't have kids, so it was an easier move for me. But in 2019, I basically made the big move, and the best decision I made, I feel. And it's been now 5 years. I'm a Bangalorean. I have an Aadhaar card. I speak very little Hindi. Unfortunately, I need to learn Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Marathi. There are many languages. But nevertheless, so India is home now. And I'll just put up I have a presentation which I'd like to run you through as well. So simultaneously, while I'm talking, I'll put that up. So with that said, what happened is we made the move and we established Olive Living in January, in basically November, December of 2019. And we launched the brand January 2020. Not knowing that we're going into a pandemic. And again, you don't know what's going to come out there. We can only focus on things we can control. There will always be disruptions. There will always be, ups and downs. And, we just have to adjust our sails according to the wind and, take it as we go. Obviously, there are certain things we can plan. We can try to come up with projections, predictions to the best of our abilities. But you never know what's around the corner, whether it might be a local or a regional or a global event. And in this case, the pandemic was a major global event. And obviously, hospitality industry was one of the worst hits. So with that said, I'll just quickly give you a background as we speak as well. So now today we position, even though we started as a long stay co-living brand, today Olive has grown to become the hospitality wing of Embassy Group. Embassy Group is one of the largest real estate conglomerates in India, who launched India's first real estate investment trust, Embassy Office Parks, which is a publicly traded company with over 85 million square feet of office space in 8 major metros. And the group is in multiple other verticals in real estate as well. But up until Olive, the group only had real estate ownership in the hospitality industry, and they didn't really have a operating business. So that's what we tried to do with Olive. And now, as well as doing long stay, short stay accommodation, when we say long stay, we say student housing, co-living, which we cater to students and obviously young professionals who are working in office parks or in multinationals or anywhere across the country, basically. And then we have different segments of hotels, short stay accommodation, and we did innovate our products and offerings as we went along. So today, actually, this is a great slide because I think, I'm actually going to talk to you about 3 businesses and, how they intersect with each other. And, what you might have heard the term horizontal integration and vertical integration. So you'll see that, we have 3 main businesses where we basically develop real estate, which is our PropCo, which is the property company, which buys lands, invests in construction, owns the asset, but it's a real estate development and holding business. And this business is asset heavy. So the balance sheet has to be very strong. And it mostly has land and real estate. The team would be there to put up the projects and, then hand it over to an operator. In this case, that is our OpCo, which is the operating business. And actually, we were quite fortunate enough to be able to launch the operating business first. Normally, how does hospitality companies start? They will start building hotels, they'll start building facilities themselves, which they own, and then they start operating. And eventually, over time, they'll spin off a operating business out of that. But these are 2 separate businesses with 2 different know-hows, with 2 different skill sets. The property business requires local real estate knowledge. It requires understanding of real estate returns. The investor set for the real estate investment is different. In this case, it could be high net worth individuals, family offices, or real estate private equity, as we call it in the global scene. And, the operating business is more, it's a truly asset-light business. Other than having the human capital, the employees, the brand, and, the soft things, the intellectual property, the operating business is an asset-light business. That's how it should be. And operating business can't exist without a property business. Whether it's your own property business or it's somebody else's properties, the operating business needs partners who are in property, who they can become clients, they tie up with, and they operate the assets on their behalf. And so we call this normally an operating company and property company. But now we've taken it one step further. And now we're spinning off our TechCo, which is our technology company. And when we launched Olive, initially the idea was, if we have to own our technology and to build and own our technology, and if we're the only customers to it, it's an expensive feat. If it's not generating you income, then technology is such a fast-moving sector. We're seeing disruptions everywhere, and I'd like to talk a bit about artificial intelligence, actually, which is an integral part of our lives. And in the past year and a half, with especially large language models, there are major disruptions happening in this sector, and we do foresee major disruptions coming in the near future. And we're trying to future-proof ourselves, our businesses, and our ideas, and to make sure that we're ready for when these things happen. So with that said, we said, we will build our technology, we will do partnerships in technology, and we will become the first customer to it. But then we will also feel that, if our technology stack is good enough, the industry are This is basically horizontal integration, where these are sister companies. If our property business is doing a project, then by default, our operating business and our technology business get to be involved in that project as well. So it is quite exciting. And then under these three different verticals, we do have vertical integration, where we basically come up with linear connections. In this case, under our operating business, we launched our first F&B brand. We have a coffee brand called Matcha Matcha. Now, that's basically replacing our receptions in most of the properties. So again, we look forward to launching more F&B businesses, or having a bike rental business or a laundry business. These are integral part of operations. So wherever we see it makes sense, we're looking to build the ecosystem. So just to give you an overview of what happened in the pandemic. I mean, as you all know, pandemic suddenly came. We were locked up, and just like how we are using Zoom, I was introduced to Zoom on second day of first lockdown, and we all saw how good this technology is. And one thing that we were fortunate enough, we weren't operational at that time, and we saw after the first wave that pretty much a lot of the hotels were shut down, and we decided to target underperforming hotels after the first wave. Just like the disruptions I had seen in Turkey for financial crises or terrorism, where hotel occupancies went down. In this case, the COVID-19 pandemic did bring a big halt onto travel and hospitality sector especially. And but we realized that people need a roof over their head. Even in a pandemic-like environment, when everybody else put up their hands, they said force majeure. What we can do. People are not able to travel, so we're not able to conduct our business. But we look at things a little bit outside of the box. And at that time, we said, okay, who's traveling? Defense, pharma, healthcare, regardless of a pandemic, these industries were traveling. And we targeted these industries, and we were able to fill up our buildings. And at that point, we were able to deliver humble returns to our owners, and this was really appreciated. And again, reputation is one of the most important things. It's really difficult to build. It's very easy to ruin. So, whatever we do, we try to do it ethically, and we try to do not overpromise, do not underpromise. We try to give the best projections to best of our abilities with the information and the data we have. And we have delivered on that. And that word of mouth has led to an exponential growth in our business. Now, what happened is second wave, third wave, again, those were difficult times, but crises do come with opportunities. What happens in those times is actually, you don't get opportunities like this. And these major disruptions happen maybe every 7 to 10 years, whether it's a global downturn, or whether it's war, or whether it's some like a health crisis, like a pandemic can happen. So
I think the system would have got crashed. Just allow us a couple of minutes. I think Sir will be joining back again. I think yes, audio is connected now.
Okay, really sorry about that. I think there was a little disruption there. I'll just put up my screen again. if you could enable me sharing, I think I'm not able
I'll
to
do
share
this.
at the
Allow me a moment.
moment.
Just allow me a moment.
Sure. So, as I was saying, these disruptions do come with opportunities. So it's really important to, try to see, what can be done in these kind of moments, because, opportunities like a bus, they don't stay there forever. They'll come and go. So, when that opportunity arrives, it's, we say iron is best molded hot. So, we should strike it right then and there. And I think, then it can really yield you results, because usually you won't have too much competition.
So can you
So,
please make us co-host?
yeah.
Okay, just allow me a one moment, sir. He's just doing it from the back end.
Sure. So I'll talk while we do that. So with that said, we saw the opportunity, and and at that point we were a long stay brand. We'll take on these underperforming hotels, position them as long stay during the pandemic, and then once the short stay business comes back, we can switch back to hotels and see how it goes from there. And that's exactly what we did. And after the unlock started happening, especially after second wave, I think it was around here. Our locations grew exponentially by number of beds and locations. But also what we saw is, some of our properties were long stay and some of them actually were old hotels, and hotels were making sense. And, even though it wasn't in our initial business plan, then we made the pivot to short stay as well. So now today, actually 90% of our business is hotels and about 10% is long stay. So, in classroom, or, when we do financial projections, we'll usually use a linear line. And life is never like that. The idea is to get from point A to B, and it's never a straight line. It's sometimes like this, it's sometimes going around, but at the end of the day, all for the better. So, we need to be open. We need to keep a never. Sometimes these decisions, these pivots can be all for the better. So, if the opportunity arises, it's definitely worth evaluating it from multiple angles to see, what it can mean down the road. So, with that said, what is co-living? What we say is, I mean, you put it's a room with an attached bathroom. You put in a student there, we call it student housing. You put in a young professional there, we call it co-living. You put in an elderly, we call it senior living. You put there someone by the night, we call it a hotel. So actually the underlying product is the same. The service that we render over is what kind of dictates it. So with that said, again, public relations is really important. We utilize the mass media, online media, as a tool of getting our messaging out there. And please do follow. I'm a columnist at Economic Times Hospitality. I write a monthly column over there. I share my ideas, trends in hospitality, trends in technology. These are some of the headlines. I'm sure for any of you who's interested in real estate, hospitality, or technology or prop tech, you'll find some relevant information and new trends over there. So, but with that said, the company's image, your personal image, your product's image, these are all very important unspoken things. Maybe it's hard to put a finger on it, but it's really important to utilize these tools and opportunities. So, while we are building our business, we're building our products, we're building the image around products, and, we're trying to get our messaging out there. And, one thing that we've been able to do through our public relations efforts was, push a shift in how the co-living hospitality sector, the operating business actually operate. I mean, initially it was all everyone was having operating companies, but they were leasing assets in long term, and they were subletting in short term. And we saw that that's not a sustainable model. So we follow in the footsteps of international hospitality brands. And actually, in this article, the impact of SDG on efficiency and core business focus, that's where I deep dive into this exactly, and try to differentiate what is the asset heavy and the asset light business is. And so we were able to drive a shift, saying that actually the asset light strategy, very much like international hospitality brands, it is the way to go. And that's what we did. We said we were following in their footsteps. And once the numbers start speaking for themselves, then you see that other competition in the sector, other stakeholders, in this case, landlords, clients, investors, actually see the differences and actually, yeah, okay, this makes sense. And then you'll see that shift happening. So, these are big mountains to climb. These are not done overnight. It's not about one article. It's not about giving one speech somewhere. It's a consistent effort, and it's accumulation of your small daily efforts ends up making that shift. People, a lot of when you look at the world, these things do take a lot of time and image, brand image, your image. These are all really important things. So what happened is in the pandemic, we went out with a fishing net. We captured pretty much all kinds of properties. And we had long stay properties, we had hotels, we had budget hotels, and it wasn't making sense to name everything under one brand. So at that point, we went for a sub branding where Olive Life is our basically long stay product. These are 3 month and onwards stay. It's more like that's what we call co-living, student housing. Olive Zip is our express hotels with reception and rooms, no amenities, limited service, budget-friendly stays. The Olive Hotel is our full-fledged offering with lounging spaces, co-working spaces, coffee shops, and a lot more elaborate. And Villa by Olive is destinations in India. Most of the time, Goa tops that list. That's the reason why we listen to our customers, we listen to what they are saying, and we try to align our strategy and business and our products and services in line with what they're doing. So Goa sounds a lot of fun. It is fun, and it's great to do business there. But it's not like going there on vacation all the time. It's not like that, unfortunately. That's the perception. But when we go, it's usually people are on the beach or people are enjoying themselves. Where we're walking construction sites, there's no air conditioning. You're walking up and down buildings, meetings or vendor meetings on site back to back. So those are the how do you say the details of doing business in leisure destinations. But as I said, the aspirational side of it is fun, and we really enjoy delivering these products to our clients. And Olive now has an umbrella of brands catering to multiple segments. And then we have our obviously other competition in the same space as well. But as well as having our own brands, we're doing international brand partnerships, which I will get into. But today, we are operational in Bangalore, Goa, and we have signed properties in Mumbai, Pune, Vijayawada. Now we are doing a pan-India expansion where we are setting up our business development office in Delhi, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad. Hopefully soon you'll see a lot more olives in the rest of the country as well. We have ambitious plans to grow pretty much all of our brands, but otherwise I can't talk for hours of the business. This is what we go to bed with and what we wake up with. But I did explain the property company, the operating company, and the tech company, and what we do under each one. And but today, what happened is pandemic brought us an opportunity to integrate a lot of technology into our operations. And today, what happened is we integrated video conferencing and we integrated artificial intelligence into our operations, where we are using video conferencing just like how we're on Zoom today to check people and check out people at our front desk. So we replaced the reception. And now we have our own coffee shop counter over there instead of having that traditional reception desk. And that allowed us to learn our and this is where all it is making a big difference. You know, we are operating the same property with a lot less manpower, with a much more cost efficiency, and that is allowing us to deliver a much better return, market-beating returns to our owners. I think, you know, this is one of the things that sets us apart from everybody else, and you know, this allowed us to really gain a competitive advantage. And this became one of the moats in the business. Now we are seeing that our remote management technology is able to give us very quick scalability, pan-India, and we're able to manage properties remotely. So with that in mind, next year we're looking to launch our franchise model, where we won't have any boots on the ground, where we'll manage these properties remotely through technology. And you know, these technologies only became possible in the past 2-3 years. I mean, if you look at it, video conferencing became common in the pandemic. And I actually saw that New York University had set up a remote campus in Shanghai WeWork to basically have the Chinese students who couldn't travel to US in the pandemic. And I saw that. I said, if people can educate people through Zoom or through video conferencing, these technologies, then we can't even check in people. So that was my inspiration. And then we started testing it. And we quickly saw that it actually works. And then artificial intelligence has become the talk of town for the past year and a half. I'm sure many of you had your hands on ChatGPT or Gemini or some of these large language models out there. And actually the disruption, you know, happens in pockets. And then it's only when it goes viral that we're aware, oh, a disruption happened. So we can see that this disruption is happening pretty much in every aspect of our lives. And you know, trying to see what this is going to lead to is really exciting. Sometimes it can be scary. You know, we are most of the time scared of things that we don't know. And in this case, we try to, you know, set our sails, be prepared for anything that might come our way. But the technology integration of our business has put Olive in a different category, more than behaving like a real estate business or an operating company. Olive's numbers now behave more like a tech company, and I think we do have a disruption at hand. I mean, what we feel we've done is we kind of transformed the traditional hospitality operating models, and through technology, we've been able to elevate situational awareness without compromising on the level of quality and service we provide. And you know, that has resulted in exponential scale, and we're excited to see where this goes. I think, you know, this slide kind of explains it quite well, where we have our front desk staff and where we have the mid-level management. This is the traditional hotel operating setup. And through our centralized operating center, we call it Olive Mission Control, which is basically backed with all the technology stack. We've been able to create a lot of efficiency in this area, and this is resulting in the lowest operating expense, the lowest manpower ratio, and the highest real estate and owner's return. And obviously building the brand, building through partnerships, you know, the communication strategy, the PR strategy I kind of touched upon. You know, these are integral part of the business. So, you know, having an all-rounded approach to on every facade of the business, you know, how we build it is really important. So, you know, focusing on one single area is not enough. We need to make sure that, you know, we basically make sure we're ticking the boxes in all of these areas. And, you know, as a result, you know, our staff productivity increased by 25%. Our turnover is reduced by 34%. And again, we saw a 23% uptick in the hotel's staff engagement and, you know, meeting the guest needs. So we're a digital and a design first company. And I think, you know, these things have really helped us take Olive to the next stage. And this is now the traditional hotel reception, how it used to be. So we first started with put our kiosks over here. Now we said, okay, we don't actually read the reception desk anymore. So now you'll see in our new properties, please do visit our website. You might see some of them there. That you'll see that we're having coffee shops. So you walk into a coffee shop instead of into a hotel reception, and that allowed us to create revenue in that space, which normally would be dormant. And this is from our central operations center, where we have what we call all of mission control, and the AI-enabled audio video analytics is able to do many, many things. And it's basically what it can do is incredible. No hotel manager will be able to give you some of the capabilities that this technology has. So we're managing properties in Goa remotely from Bangalore. I mean, before these technologies were out there, this wasn't possible. So, adapting to new trends, testing technology, testing, different models is really important, because I know that if we don't innovate, someone is going to come innovate and they will disrupt us. Today, we might be disrupting some businesses, but down the road, if we become stagnant, if we stop learning, learning doesn't stop once you graduate. Learning is a lifelong journey. I read a lot, and I read many, many things. I have different interests as well. But especially if you're passionate about what you do, and then obviously you can invest more time, you can focus a lot more into it. So keeping up to date, keeping antennas open, being open to new ideas is really important. And we tried this out, and you can see from our customers' faces that the reaction was really positive. So, and every conversation goes recorded. They know that they're safe. They know that they're going to get a smile when we greet them, and they know that we're going to listen for them, and someone is actually out there to help them deliver this. And again, on the last parts, we do upcycle and recycle buildings. We get our hands on existing assets, and we try to refurbish and recycle as much of the products as possible. This helps us reduce our carbon footprint. This helps us bring the investment, and we can turn them around much more quickly in comparison to building a new. So again, the corporate social responsibility aspect of it, when we're doing business, yes, it's important to make money, but what are we doing to the environment? What is the impact that we have in our own ecosystems, neighborhoods? These are things we definitely need to be conscious about. The more you give back, the more you get in return. That's what we see. So again, we have some smart features. I think I don't want to eat into our time on the Q&A, but this is our plan. So now we are on a pan-India expansion stage. I think it's okay to say here we're partnering up with some global hospitality chains. So soon, hopefully, you'll hear that we'll be announcing some major partnerships in September, and it's quite exciting. The opportunity is really big. Only 5% of the market in India is branded, so that represents an immense opportunity. And we've establishing the business as a global business. So hopefully, in the near future, that we'll be seeing international expansion as well. So hopefully, we'll be pan-India quite soon, and we'd love to host you in wherever you may want to go, whether for education, whether for business, whether for leisure. So hopefully in the near future that we'll see olives in many of these locations. Again, the tech aspect of it, the client-facing technology that we use, and the final numbers, we're aiming for 1 lakh beds in the next 7-8 years. And obviously, that's a big number that only countries like India can afford to say. So we don't have these numbers anywhere globally. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what Olive is about. I try to cover a lot in a short period of time. So I'm really looking forward to interacting with you all. So yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Sandeep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. I must say that the way you've covered throughout the journey, the hiccups, the hustles, whatever you've gone through over the years, you've never set back. So there is always, you've been optimistic, and you've been always positive and look forward to build many such brands. And looking forward, I'm sure we'll be using a lot of your facilities available, probably currently in Bangalore and Goa as well. And looking forward for Pune and I think other couple of locations what you have for. So thank you so much for that. So let's move ahead with there are a few questions. We'll take a few questions which have been asked by a few of our audience. Rahul is asking, sir, can you share the inspiration behind starting this olive living? Why did you start it? What was the inspiration behind it?
So, I mean, as I said, I was in the accommodation business, and I was looking to build an aspirational brand, and starting with student housing, as I tried to touch up on the presentation as well. How we start, how we set out doesn't mean how it's going to evolve. So the initial idea was to build a big, large student housing and co-living brand, and to elevate the standards of living, elevate the life of the occupiers, and give them a foundation where they could achieve their full potential. Give them the infrastructure. It wasn't just about putting a roof over people's heads. It was about giving them the infrastructure for them to fulfill their full potential. And I think, in especially student housing, a lot of social responsibility comes along with that business. That's what I saw. And, being able to be there for young minds and their early times was, I think, big inspiration for me. And, I started off on the student housing end, but eventually the business naturally evolved to where it is today. So we did pivot to an extent. We started hotels as well. So I can say one was to make a big impact on young people's lives and their life trajectory. And then the rest of it kind of evolved in a way, but carrying the same ethos, carrying the same mindset into these other sub-verticals or different lanes has always been at our heart. That's been at our foundation. So hopefully I was able to answer that question.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And moving ahead to the next question. Hello, sir. My question is, what are the important steps and challenges involved in shifting from a traditional career to becoming a successful lifestyle entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I mean, entrepreneurship is not easy. But at the end of the day, employment can be very rewarding as well. So with that said, I think one, gaining experience in large multinationals or large organization is crucial. You get to understand how the corporate life works. And you get to taste what a big company is like. And as an entrepreneur, when you begin your journey, things start very small. It always starts with the first step. So having that experience is, I think, crucial. So in the initial couple of years, trying as much as possible, and failing as much as possible is really important. In your 20s, I think that's one luxury that all of you have. You should try many things. You should try, if you have ideas you want to pursue, definitely try those. These are the years when you can afford them. And towards the end of your 20s, and sometimes some people hit it early, really big as well. You never know. It might be a great idea. Timing needs to be correct. Timing is, again, really crucial. You might be really equipped in the right sector, doing everything right. You might be with the right experience. But if timing is not right, it's very difficult to row against a current. So I would say that looking out for that the opportunity to do something on your own and getting the timing right is probably one of the most important things that one can look into, because that can set you up for success or for failure. So with that said, success happens when preparation meets opportunity. So being prepared and waiting for that, looking for that opportunity. And one thing is not to give up, not to stop trying. We'll only fail if we stop trying. So with that said, you might try it this year, and a window of opportunity might arise, but it might not work out. And when you look at startups, many of them do fail. So with that, it doesn't mean that we give up. No, all we do is we try it in different ways, or we try different things, and we'll see what comes out of that. So I think looking for the right timing, looking for the right opportunity, but being prepared for it, and then not being afraid to fail, and trying to fail quick, fail cheap as quickly as possible at the young ages. I think it's one of the biggest advices that I can give. And with that said, when the right things come together, it can be very rewarding. So
I think nobody can be better than you when the moment you started in 2019 and all the way we had the COVID hit. But the way you took it ahead and made things bigger. So there is always a possibility. There might be a slowdown, probably there might be a failure, but still there are possibilities that you can make really big. Thank you so much for your message, sir. Moving ahead with the next question, which connects with the same initial challenges. What you faced when you started your lifestyle business? What were the
initial challenges? So I mean, I think as I said, when you start small. You start with the first step, and getting the minimum viable products right at the first step is probably one of the most difficult things. Again, market fit, go-to-market strategy. These are really dynamic things. It's really difficult to put a finger on it, and you have to do a lot of trial and error at that stage. And sometimes one after the other, it doesn't work. But then as and with every failure you gain experience. Actually, you don't lose anything. There's always a lesson there. So you try it, doesn't work. Okay, great. What did we learn? This model doesn't work. Let's try it in another way. So I think those are some of the challenges. But tenacity, grit, perseverance, these are, I think, some of the more important qualities that one needs to have. It doesn't matter how high you score in your test. I don't think it's about IQ either. Yes, we definitely need to have a working brain. We need to have common sense, logic. But I think, what really kind of gets you moving through those stages is, tenacity, perseverance, grit. Those are really important qualities to have, which can help you navigate through those challenges in the early days of the business.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure, as you said, don't do different things. Do the same thing in a different ways. I'm sure one or the other way will click. Right?
Yeah.
So moving ahead with the next question. So we'll take last couple of questions more. Probably because of short of time, we'll take last 2 more questions, sir. How to balance passion and profitability when choosing an entrepreneurial path?
How to balance profitability and
passion
and profitability. Yeah. So I mean, I think usually we hear a lot of people say that follow your passion. I mean, there's a certain element to which I agree to, and there's a certain element which I don't agree about that either. I mean, I think focusing on what you're good at, and that can be one of the most rewarding things. And then the more you do that, then that can become one of your passions as well, to do what you do well. And definitely then at the end of the day, that does yield results, and that does yield profits. But I think the main focus, obviously, when you look at any company director, any CEO, the ultimate job description over there is to maximize shareholder value. And value, you can measure it in many ways. Obviously, monetary, measuring it from monetary terms is the easiest part. But it's not all tangible things. It's not just about numbers. You might be creating value in many other ways. I mean, while I was talking about the upcycling and recycling of the buildings, it's difficult to measure that, but I know the value that we are creating over there is huge, and it's something that I'm passionate about. That I've been able to channel my passions and actually find joy in the things where I can do things more efficiently. So efficiency is one of my passions, and you can apply that to many areas. And so with that, how we define passion, I think, is really important. And over there, when you focus on making an impact, is one of the most important things. But we don't make that our priority. We make our priority to do something efficient. We make it our priority to do it really well, and we try to make it in ways where we break ground and bring in innovative new concepts. And without really trying hard, most of these will yield you the profits as well. Obviously, creating win-win, I think, is the most important thing. So, if there's one stakeholder who feels is not winning as much as the other stakeholders on the table, then that is not going to yield you a sustainable business or relationship or a partnership in that matter. So, with that said, creating value and making sure that it's a win-win. I think if that aligns with your passion as well, then nothing like it, because you'll be good at that. And I think that's where the balance comes in. I think making sure that it's a win-win for all the stakeholders on the table, and as long as it's fair, then I think that is the kind of right balance that we try to achieve in every case.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. Before I move to the last question, just as you mentioned that you've been able to do the franchisee model as well as there are different models of business. In case if any entrepreneur or as a student would love to get in touch, or probably would love to get associated, how is that which he or she can do it?
Sorry, your voice is a little deep. I didn't catch the last part. Really sorry.
Okay, I said in case if anybody would love to get into the franchising model or would love to get associated with Olive, how is that
Yes.
which they can do it?
So, I mean, we are hiring quite aggressively, actually. We are hiring in multiple geographies. We have a great HR team in place. We do provide a lot of internships, and we'd love to have many of you who are part of GIBS. Many smart minds over here, really motivated minds as well. So we do have many opportunities. So please do visit our website over there. We have the careers tab. If you're interested, whether it's in real estate, hospitality, technology, many aspects that we have. So we do have internships available. We do have openings available as well. So I know you are all graduate students. So with that said, we'd be more than happy. And one of the biggest problems that we have is hiring. That's where one of our bottlenecks are. So we do partner up with reputable institutions like GIBS, where we try to recruit young, fresh minds. So we would more than welcome. So please do visit our website. Please add me on LinkedIn. You can even message me on LinkedIn as well. More than happy to. And please do. I mean, if we'd love to have the young minds here help us, realize our ambitions together.
So thank you so much for that opportunity. I'm sure a lot of our students would engage. And as you said, that is your bottleneck, but we would say we have that strength with us, which we can add value. It can be, I'm sure it would be a win-win situation for all the three of us, whether the students or probably the organization or the institution. We would love to add value to every single phase of our process or journey. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Perfect.
It's great and pleasure having you. We would love to have you in campus as well. Looking forward to meet you in person. Anyways, our team would get in touch with you to host you at the campus. So we were looking forward to meet you in person as well, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing all of you in person soon. And let's keep in touch and hopefully see each other soon. Thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward, sir. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's great to have you once again.